The cameras flashed, the crowd froze, and just like that, whoa, Hollywood had a new obsession.
Oh, you could just feel the tension in the room.
Right. I mean, picture this. It is May 2026. The scene is the 79th annual Cannes Film Festival down in the south of France.
Such a specific, glamorous vibe.
Exactly. The Mediterranean sun is setting, the flashbulbs are going off like strobe lights, and stepping onto the red carpet is a face the industry hasn't fully embraced in, like, almost a decade.
Yeah, James Franco.
James Franco. And the headline that immediately starts making waves across the internet, James Franco is back with a girlfriend nobody knew about.
Which is such a calculated tabloid hook, honestly.
Oh, completely.
No.
So, welcome to Starscope Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today we have this massive stack of entertainment news, variety features, and clinical timelines in front of us. Our mission for this deep dive is to basically unpack the hidden mechanics of a Hollywood comeback.
Yeah, we're really looking at the reality of the industry's freeze-out mechanisms, right? And the leverage of public opinion.
Exactly. Plus, the story of the mystery woman who has supposedly anchored one of the industry's most controversial figures.
And, the visual language of that red carpet appearance, it was entirely deliberate.
Oh, nothing is an accident at Cannes.
Exactly. So Franco was there for the opening night screening of a movie called The Electric Kiss. And he isn't walking alone. He's walking with Izabel Pakzad.
Right, the girlfriend nobody knew about.
Yeah, supposedly. And the styling tells a story before they even speak to a single reporter. I mean, they're wearing these timeless, matching black outfits.
Classic PR move, honestly.
Totally. Franco is in a very subdued, classic black suit, white-collared shirt, black bow tie. He's, smiling, mingling with stars like Diego Luna, projecting absolute comfort.
And what about Isabel? Because her look was definitely making a statement, too.
Oh, for sure. She's in this sleek, floor-length black slip dress with the dramatic thigh split in silver jewelry. And they're showing undeniable PDA.
Yeah, just really leaning into each other.
Right, offering this very unified, kind of impenetrable front to the world's most aggressive press corps.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the media narrative instantly latched onto that phrase, a girlfriend nobody knew about.
Yeah, which is pretty misleading.
Right. Looking at the sources, she is definitely not just some red carpet plus one hired for the night to make him look stable.
No, not at all. She has a resume that makes her uniquely qualified to handle this exact level of intense scrutiny.
I mean, she's an insider, right?
She really is.
Right.
Pakzad is currently 30 years old, and her background is deeply rooted in media strategy and production.
Wow. Okay, so she actually knows how the machine works.
Exactly. She studied advertising and publicity at Penn State. She holds a master's degree from the University of Southern California, and she's worked on the inside for CBS Films, Sony Pictures, and Warner Bros.
Wait, really? That is a heavy-hitting resume.
It is, and on top of that, she's a writer and director. She actually has her own horror thriller film called Find Your Friends hitting Shudder in June 2026.
Oh, wow. So she's not just adjacent to the industry, she's actively making moves in it.
Right, and this extensive background means she understands public relations, optics, and narrative control just as well as Franco's professional team does.
Which makes sense. Showing up to a high school reunion after a massive scandal is one thing, but doing it at Cannes, you need like a human shield of stability.
That's a great way to put it. Their unified front is basically a calculated masterclass in visual messaging.
But, you see a 15-year age gap. She's 30, he's 48. It's so easy to assume she is a newly acquired asset just to soften his image for this comeback tour.
Yeah, people definitely jump to that conclusion.
But the timeline completely shatters that assumption, right?
What's fascinating here is that they've actually been together for 7.5 years.
7.5 years.
Yeah, they started dating in 2017. So she isn't a new addition at all. She actually predates the absolute worst of his public downfall.
Wow, so she stood by him through the absolute lowest moments. That's not a PR stunt, that's a foundational anchor.
Right, which totally reframes the entire dynamic. When they first met, she wasn't even acting. Franco actually mentioned in an interview that he made this mental list of things he wanted in a partner, and not an actress was explicitly on it.
Interesting. He wanted separation from the industry.
Exactly. But then she began taking acting classes, and they bonded over shared passions for filmmaking and traveling.
So, to really understand the weight of this comeback, we have to look at how the fall actually happened. Because it wasn't an overnight explosion, was it?
No, it was much more of a slow bleed.
Right. Because you, the listener, know Franco is famous? You know he was Harry Osborn in Spider-Man. You know he was nominated for an Oscar for 127 Hours.
He was everywhere. Directing, writing, teaching.
Yeah, he wasn't just an A-list actor. He was an entire Hollywood institution with massive financial leverage. And that leverage is exactly why he wasn't canceled overnight the first time he got into trouble.
Yeah, the financial realities of the 2010s box office really insulated him.
Yeah.
I mean, think back to 2014.
Oh, the Instagram incident?
Right. There was an incident with a 17-year-old girl named Lucy Claude. She accused him of messaging her via Instagram, asking if she had a boyfriend and if he should book a hotel room.
And he basically just brushed it off, right?
Pretty much. He went on Howard Stern, minimized it, and basically said he was just trying to meet somebody and his dirty laundry got aired internationally.
And the studios didn't even blink?
Not at all. He was too profitable. The indie cred crossed with the blockbuster pull meant he was generating hundreds of millions of dollars. The industry just absorbed it as a minor PR hiccup.
But 2018 is what fundamentally broke that insulation.
Yeah, that was the major turning point.
5 women came forward publicly to accuse him of inappropriate and sexually exploitative behavior. And the context was completely different this time.
Right, because 4 of these women were former students from Studio 4, which was the acting school Franco co-founded.
Exactly. So these allegations centered squarely on his role as a teacher and a mentor. This was about a position of significant influence over students who were desperate for opportunities.
In a notoriously difficult industry, yeah.
They alleged he engaged them in explicit sex scenes as part of their curriculum.
The power dynamic was definitely the breaking point there. 2 of the accusers filed a formal lawsuit.
And he initially denied it, right, on late-night TV.
He did. He went on television and denied the accuracy of the claims, but the legal reality eventually caught up to him. In 2021, he agreed to a $2.2 million settlement.
So if you're listening to this, you might be wondering how someone pays millions of dollars in a settlement but still legally claims they did nothing wrong.
Yeah, it sounds contradictory.
It does, but in Hollywood, that is often referred to as an optics fee.
An optics fee, I like that term.
Right. The sources break down the mechanics really clearly. A portion goes directly to the named plaintiffs, a large chunk goes to legal fees, and the rest establishes a class action fund for other students.
And in exchange, everybody signs non-disclosure agreements.
Exactly. NDAs are signed, and a clause is inserted specifically stating that the settlement is not an admission of guilt. It is simply the cost of doing business to make a prolonged, damaging news cycle disappear.
It neutralizes the legal threat, sure, but it definitely doesn't neutralize the professional fallout.
But wait, that doesn't make sense to me. Why did it take years for his career to stall?
What do you mean?
Well, usually in Hollywood, when allegations of this magnitude drop, the door slams shut overnight. A PR firm issues a statement severing ties, the studio pulls your upcoming movie, your agent drops you, and you are just gone.
Right, the explosive cancellation.
Yeah. Why was this a slow fade?
Well, the slow fade is actually much more common at the executive level of Hollywood than the overnight firing.
Really? Why is that?
Because there's too much capital tied up in existing projects. Major studio roles don't just vanish in a single dramatic press release. Movies that have already been shot have to be distributed. Contracts have already been signed.
Also, they can't just scrap a $50 million movie.
Exactly. So what actually happens is that the pipeline quietly dries up. Films that were in early development just stall out because suddenly the actor can't get bonded.
Bonded. Like insurance.
Yeah, insurance companies view them as too much of a liability to cover on set. The invitations to high-profile industry events stop arriving.
So nobody actually calls you to fire you.
Right. Executives just stop returning your team's calls. You suddenly become, quote, conceptually wrong for every new part.
Wow. And the ultimate indicator of that slow freeze-out is the evaporation of the professional circle. The people who stood next to him on the red carpets just vanished.
Seth Rogen being the most glaring example.
Yes. Rogen and Franco had been collaborators for 2 decades. They built an absolute comedy empire together. Pineapple Express, The Interview, The Disaster Artist.
They started all the way back on Freaks and Geeks in 1999.
Right. And then, after the allegations gained traction, Rogen publicly stated in 2021 that he had no plans to work with Franco again.
Which had to be a huge blow.
Franco admitted a few years later that the friendship was entirely over. He said, and this is a quote, "I haven't talked to Seth. We had 20 great years together, but I guess it's over."
Yeah, the distancing is a primary survival mechanism in the entertainment industry. The blast radius of a major scandal threatens everyone adjacent to the epicenter.
Even his own brother, Dave Franco, publicly distanced himself.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Dave actively separated his career from James's to protect his own standing.
So he lost his career, his best friend, and his industry standing. But later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking twist in his personal life that he claims actually saved him.
Yeah, the isolation he experienced really leads directly into the next phase of this timeline.
And hey, if you're loving these Hollywood twists and the hidden mechanics of fame, make sure you hit subscribe. We've got even crazier stories ahead, and we're always decoding the stories behind the headlines.
So, as his public career contracted, he was really forced to confront the private life he had previously neglected.
Which brings us to the confession.
Exactly. In 2021, he went on the Jess Cagle podcast, which served as his first major interview after stepping away from the public eye.
And he laid out a very blunt assessment of his behavior, didn't he?
He really did. He admitted to struggling heavily with alcohol and sex addiction. He was explicit about his infidelity, stating, "I had girlfriends. I could never be faithful to anybody. I cheated on everyone before Izabel."
He blamed his addiction for his off-screen behavior. He claimed he used his work and the constant validation of film sets to just fill a hole in his life.
Yeah, he stated that the silence of the freeze-out forced him into therapy to actually address those addictions.
And the sources highlight an incredible contrast here between the person he claims he used to be and his current reality.
Oh, you mean the anecdote he told Variety?
Yes, the cat scratch story. It is honestly jaw-dropping. He admitted how selfish he used to be. He recalled an incident where his pet cat scratched an ex-girlfriend's eye.
Which is a serious injury.
A very serious injury. And instead of driving his own girlfriend to the hospital, he made his assistant do it. I mean, the level of narcissism there is almost cartoonish. It's the peak manifestation of a Hollywood ego completely detached from basic human empathy.
He actually reflected on that moment, asking himself, what kind of selfish, self-centered boyfriend are you?
Well, at least he recognized it eventually.
Right. And the sources provide a direct contrast to that level of detachment. Years later, when Izabel got a severe throat infection, Franco personally rushed her to the emergency room.
So he credits the loss of his career with forcing this shift in his priorities.
Exactly. Because the relentless pace of film production stopped, he couldn't hide behind the excuse of being too important or too busy anymore.
So what does this all mean? Can a forced exile actually manufacture genuine personal growth? Or is it just a survival tactic?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it?
Because look, when you're stripped of your fame and your influence, of course you have to play the role of the reformed, humble partner. If he acted like the guy who made his assistant take his girlfriend to the hospital, he would have absolutely nothing left.
That is the core tension of any public redemption arc. We don't have access to what happens when the cameras are off. But the data points we do have, specifically the longevity of his relationship with Izabel, suggest a tangible shift.
7.5 years is an eternity in Hollywood.
It really is, especially under these circumstances. Surviving the multi-million-dollar lawsuit and a profound professional dry spell requires genuine resilience. Relationships built purely on PR survival tactics rarely withstand that level of sustained pressure.
So the private growth might be entirely real, but the public arena operates on a completely different set of rules. And that brings us to the industry news.
Oh yes, the pipeline.
Franco currently has 9 films in the pipeline on IMDb. And he teased a big studio movie at Cannes. It was shot for New Line and sold to prestige darling A24, slated for late 2026 or 2027.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the involvement of A24 is the most critical data point in this entire comeback strategy.
Because A24 is, like, the peak of cool right now.
Exactly. They dictate what is considered high art in the modern film landscape. For them to acquire a James Franco project is a massive, flashing green light to the rest of the industry.
It signals institutional forgiveness.
Yes. It tells other executives and casting directors that it is, quote, safe to put Franco on a call sheet again.
You combine that with the Cannes premieres, mingling with Diego Luna. The executive tier of Hollywood has clearly decided his exile is over.
But the internet fundamentally disagrees.
Oh, completely. The viral backlash to his Cannes appearance was immediate. Social media users flooded the comment sections writing, "Don't forget what he did."
And who let him come back?
Exactly. Or bluntly stating, "We already canceled him." It's like the studio executives are rolling out the red carpet, but the audience is standing at the barricades with their arms crossed.
That's a great analogy. Hollywood is eager to capitalize on his talent again because he used to guarantee box office returns. But the ultimate test is audience conversion.
Right. They can secure the distribution deals and coordinate the matching outfits at con, but they cannot force a viewer to spend $20 on a movie ticket.
A public memory is long. In the digital age, the timeline of every allegation is permanently archived.
Which brings it all home to you, the listener. Because every time you buy a movie ticket, stream a film, or engage with pop culture online, you are casting a vote on where the line is drawn between personal accountability and artistic consumption.
The executives are making multi-million-dollar bets based entirely on what they think you are willing to forgive or forget.
You are the final hurdle in any Hollywood comeback. And stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because we love unpacking these industry dynamics.
It really leaves us with a fascinating reality to ponder, though. If an actor does all the private work to change, and the studios invite him back, but the public simply refuses to watch, is it actually a comeback? Or are they just a ghost haunting their own industry?
That is such a haunting thought. Visible to the executives, but invisible to the culture. The mechanics of redemption are messy, that's for sure. You've been listening to the Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.